good. First of all, if I start to speak too quickly, somebody wave at me. I'm fortunate enough to come from a very large Irish family, and if you didn't speak quickly, you didn't get to speak at all. So I've learned some very bad habits. So that's my one thing. And if I shout too loud, let me know as well. So I'm very proud to be part of Ocado's technology division. It is a division that's over 950 people strong in several countries. And I'm going to talk largely about Ocado and our story, but how it dovetails quite nicely, I guess, into the new Relic story. So Ocado is the world's largest online-only grocery supermarket. When we started the business, and you can see a little picture of the way the business runs, we thought we could buy lots of different solutions, and that would do us. What we discovered is nobody quite solved the problems that we were going to have to solve. It's very different when you're kind enough to walk into a supermarket yourself and pick your own groceries and put them in your own trolley. When you go and you buy an apple, and the type of apple you want isn't there, you automatically go and buy another apple. Well, how do I know whether you want a green apple or a red apple or what kind of apple you were looking for? And so we have that kind of problem. We also want to make sure that when you look on our site, that we can promise you something. So it's our availability to promise. We also want it to be able to work in a 7-by-24-hour operational warehousing. So we're very much tied these days to both software and to engineering. So we've 50,000 items and growing in a warehouse. That's massive, by the way. Your average supermarket could have anything from 14,000 to 28,000 items. Very heavily automated facilities, which I will show you some videos of. And lots of technology and engineering just hiding under the bonnet. The Ocado technology team, again, over 950 strong. Like New Relic, we have a development office in Barcelona. We have one in Sofia in Bulgaria. We have two in Poland, in Wrocław and in Krakow. And our largest development center is just down the road here in Hatfield. We developed in a way, so like a lot of development organizations, so you could offer a unique proposition to our customers. Okay, so the technology journey. Originally, we started off with Ocado.com. In 2014, or this beginning of 2014, we launched to Morrisons.com because we realized very quickly, actually, we weren't going to have Ocado.com opened all over the world. We were very much more interested in having other organizations use our technology. We also have some general merchandise sites, Fetch, Sizzle, Fabled on behalf of Marie Claire, and next year we'll have Dobby's Garden Centre that we're delivering for. So really, our technology journey, I just put in one New Relic slide because I thought I should. But we started using New Relic actually on our new platform, which I'll show you a little bit more about later. We started using it there first because, like a lot of people, we thought New Relic was cloud. We thought it was very much about, the good thing is it was an APM that looked at the front end and started to look at the way customers were reacting. And we started using it for the browser first and now wonder how we lived kind of without it. But we've used it for lots of other things in the meantime. So it's kind of a backwards story. The last place we used it for, is in our CFCs, our older CFCs. And these CFCs have 19 miles of conveyorage in them. We move 180,000 boxes over them every day. There are no traffic jams. It's very well controlled. Obviously, we decided to do grocery first because we're awkward. So everything is a different shape, a different size, has different life, needs to be chilled, needs to be frozen. All of those requirements. The good news is we decided everybody needed to eat, so the business would probably work on that basis. There's a big difference between this and the supermarket. You'll notice the people stand still, and the grocery boxes come to them, and they pack them. The way we've used New Relic in this area is largely everything we do, if you see it, you're looking at events here. And everything we do under the hood is event-driven. And if you can't see it, you don't know it's happening. So what we're looking for is a warehouse that runs 7-by-24 hours, over 580,000 regular customers at this point in time, and delivering basically out of 2 warehouses over 1 million items every single day. Now we know we have routing algorithms to solve. We have available to promise to solve. We also, very importantly, have very low wastage. So our wastage is about 0.75 of 1%. That's about 4 times lower than any other grocery chain, largely because if we can predict what you want, then we'll just buy what you need and we won't have to throw it out. So it makes us very green. We always say we're greener than walking to the supermarket. So it's quite an interesting kind of problem. The new Relic piece that came in line was we started to look at the events and how our cranes worked. And I'll show you next just a simulation. Is that going to work? Yeah. So the simulation of, this is a simulation of a warehouse in Dordon, again, highly automated. But what we wanted to do was to look at how each piece of that infrastructure was working. And if we can look at events and the events aren't reacting normally within that warehouse, that's a whole pile of boxes, the colors aren't significant, but they move over those miles of conveyorage. And all of the boxes eventually gather together and form a route that goes to up to 20 customers in a single van. So basically what we wanted to be able to do was to measure events that we viewed as being abnormal. And once we were able to do that, we found it quite useful to use New Relic in terms of we could create quick dashboards. We could change those dashboards and make them more permanent when they became more useful and we knew what we needed and wanted. Because sometimes you don't know what you want till you have it. And then the next thing we did was we also wanted to stop eventing and alerting when we wanted to ignore something. I often compare it to, you drive down an Irish road and, your sat-nav doesn't work, and you'll stop a farmer and say, how do I get to here? And they'll go, you drive up the road there. You see that fork in the road? Ignore that. You don't want to ignore something. I only want an alert when I want to be alerted. Tell me to do something. Let me know what the event is. And gradually in this warehouse, we've probably realized, over £100,000 worth of gain, and we expect to over time, just by watching events on the crane. Is it doing something abnormal? Because it's event-driven, but we also have some manual interventions, it's not always clear where we're optimized. So it has helped in that way. That's been entirely unexpected in some respects, and that's the backward story. This is an MQ broker. It's not, it's not a RESTful architecture. It's quite, if you like, old-fashioned. But we've created a list of the applications, and we can look at it this way. So it's quite useful to know we can use it on our on-prem, if you like, older infrastructure, and on the cloud infrastructure based on AWS. Then if I move to the next one. So after we launched Morrison's at the beginning of 2014, we decided to take all of those learnings that we had and to create what we called an Ocado Smart Platform. Basically, much more, AWS, it's on AWS in the cloud, some on Google Cloud. Again, moving towards a RESTful architecture, microservices, modularized, all of that kind of thing. New technology platform, very much built for the cloud, microservices architecture, and also we could build in all of the security and the quality at the very beginning. We weren't learning how to do it, if you like, anymore. We were taking our learnings and applying them to something else. What's noticeable as well is we've moved into technology, but also into engineering, because I'll show you bots moving on a grid in a few minutes, and they've been developed by the Ocado engineering group. So it's quite interesting. So we get, it's moving. Great. This is just a little map of our, we call it a tube map, and it's all the different functions. If you want to press it again, you'll see the little dots moving. Thank you. So if you watch this, basically, if you look at the way we use New Relic on this, we started using it on a browser. We use it on the front end of everything. Again, a lot of the APMs didn't focus on the front end and the customer experience, which was very important to us. But basically, on this map, it just shows you a roadmap of the customer interaction all the way to the front door. And we changed that map, and we use it as our list of applications to look at. It's just an interesting viewpoint of where Ocado's going next, I guess. And then importantly, so the next one, these are our bots. They're awfully cute looking, actually, on a grid. They look very interesting, and they are. It has surprised us. This is the most up-to-date technology we have. Basically, it's a densely packed grid of items. We can store 50,000 items in this plus. Very heavily modularized, so you can buy one module, another module, and another module, depending on the size of your warehouse. And why that's useful, obviously, if you're going to sell this to somebody, that's the way they're interested in buying it. We use a 4GL technology to have the basically a mesh grid or mesh network to get those bots to speak to each other. They've been developed in-house in conjunction with a number of other companies. And they're just nice to look at. But very importantly, and this is my last one, this is a simulation of a warehouse. It could be any size, but the bots are running over the top. What's nice for us is that we can store very small products. So we have very niche market products, as well as the products you'd expect to have online. But this, again, what we're looking for in this is, sorry, I should point out the technology on this. Some of the technology in here is in-house. Because of latency issues, we wouldn't want the stuff in the cloud. And some of it's based very much in the cloud. So we basically have Kubernetes on top of OpenStack and containerized solutions. So why that's important is, again, we weren't that sure we could use and make use of New Relic in-house, but we can because we're starting to look at the load balancing on this. We're starting to look at CPU usage. And again, very recently, we've started to create a number of dashboards which tell us how all of this is behaving. If you want this to run 7 by 24 hour, deliver a very reliable, highly resilient solution, that is what you need to be able to do. And that is it. Thank you.